welcome back to another video. So today's video I am going to be showing you all the books that I read in October, but there's going to be a little twist where I am just going to basically say yes, no, maybe to whether I recommend them, and I might add a few of my thoughts if I have any, because sometimes I read books and I just don't really have any thoughts on them, and then I find it hard to review and stuff. But this is the way I'm going to do, as a lot of you enjoyed it last time, but I am going to try and add a bit of a review with it as well, even if it's like a sentence or two. I don't know, I'm just gonna go with the vibes. We're just going to see how it goes. I counted that I have read 22 books, which isn't my usual amount, but to be honest, I have been in arena some, and considering that is a really good amount. Lighting, it gets dark really early, my ring light's broke, and my laptop's in front of me, so this is the situation, unfortunately. But anyway, let's just get on into the wrap up. So the first book I read was Gothicana. This book I rated 4.25 stars. I would 100% recommend this. This was so fun. Going into this blind and not expecting what I got from it. So I went into it like expecting teacher student, because that is what it's like marketed as, and whenever I hear about people talking about it, that's what I get. But there's like a mystery aspect to it which I found really interesting, and just both of them together I loved, because it's about this girl who ends up having to go to this boarding school, and then that's where like the teacher student relationship comes from. But then like there's bad news around this like teacher that she likes, and there's like bad things happening at the boarding school. And yeah, without saying too much, because it definitely is better going into this book blind, and I feel like that is why you don't hear much about the actual book itself. I did really enjoy this personally. I was quite tempted to rate it 5 stars, but the more I sat on it and the more I thought about it, I thought 4.25 stars was like the perfect rating for it. Then I read First Down, and I rated this one 3 stars. I'm going to say this is like a knockoff version of The Deal from the Off-Campus series by L. Kennedy. There's a few different things about it, but there's like very similar things. The whole time I was just like seeing similarities. Now I'm not saying that is a bad thing necessarily, but like if I was to choose like First Down or The Deal, I'm going to choose The Deal any day. That's why I'm going to call it a knockoff version, because there is definitely a lot of similarities where, for example, our male main character James needs help to like pass this exam thing. He needs to like pass something or so he can continue his sports in football, and Bex like needs his help to like get rid of her ex-boyfriend that is kind of like stalking her in a sense, and her ex-boyfriend is on the same football team as James. The deal is she'll help him study for this exam type thing if basically he fake dates her. So like the similarity type thing. Difference is like obviously in The Deal, it's where the girl like, needs help for her crush to notice her. Like that's literally like the only difference in my opinion. So, but like I said, it is still really good. I am going to say if you like The Deal, you most likely going to want this one. I would definitely say this one is a slower pace, and I did get bored kind of like in the middle because it was just dragging on so much, and it is a short book, so I just felt like it's 310 pages apparently, Goodreads says, so like there was no need for it to drag so much within the middle, but I would still recommend it. So I'm going to say yes to this one. Okay, then I read A Little Stranger. I rated this one 3 stars. This one was a wild ride. Let me tell you, I was hearing like loads of different things about this one. A lot of like different people like talking about it on TikTok and like the audiobook and stuff, and I heard people saying that if you're going to read this one, listen to the audiobook. So that is exactly what I did, and I don't know, there was like definitely a dark vibe to this. All I'm gonna say is like there's like 2 parts to this book. The first part was like, you know, easy pace. The second part of this book got wild, got dark, and just it changed pace and it changed like vibe so quickly, but like in a good way. I don't know, I really enjoyed this one. But obviously if you're not into like foster siblings, then if you're a bit weird about reading about that, then obviously this won't be for you, because there is obviously that's the main plot. This one is very good. I would recommend, but I would recommend you check the trigger warnings. Okay, the next book I'm going to talk about is Travis by Miss Sheridan. This one I honestly thought I was going to love, because I loved Archer's voice, and I was very excited to get to like Travis's story, because in Archer's voice you're not like a big fan of him, but then I was like, oh, this might be like his redemption mark. We might understand why he was acting the way he does, which we do. We learn so much, which I love. But I did rate this one 2.75 stars because I just did not feel a connection between the characters. Maybe I read it at the wrong time, I'm not too sure, but I felt like I was losing myself within the story sometimes. Like I said, that might just be a problem with me because a lot of other people have really enjoyed this one. I wouldn't personally recommend it. Like, you'd see me talking and recommending Archer Voice a lot more than this one, but it was nice to understand why Travis acted like the way he did most times. I mean, obviously completely understandable. You learn a lot about Travis, which is nice, and I feel like that's why this book was so important. But otherwise, like, his story, his like life, his love story in general, I just didn't really care for because I just didn't feel a connection between the characters, and honestly I just didn't really like the characters too much. And then I read A City of Bones, which is the first book in the Immortal Instruments series. I finally started this series. It's been 3 years since I bought this. I'm so glad I finally started it because I finally decided what order I'm going to be reading the series in. I did rate this one 4.5 stars. I actually really enjoyed this one, a lot more than what I was expecting. I read it so quickly, and considering it's a fantasy book, it shocked me. I could probably say this is one of my new favourite fantasy books that I can put into a category now. Well, I talk about it a lot in a reading vlog. Most of these I talk about a lot in a reading vlog that you'll be seeing sometime in November. But it's about a 15-year-old and she's discovering like new things about herself that her mother has been hiding from her for a while. I don't know how to explain this without like ruining it. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that you start this series. Obviously I'm definitely very late to the game, so most people have read it, but if you haven't, I recommend that you do. Then we have Fahrenheit 451. I think I'm saying that correctly. This was like a short novella thing. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really remember what it was about. It was science fiction. I don't know, it wasn't really my thing. I did rate it 1 star, but a lot of other people love this, so I would say maybe to this one. Just because I didn't like it doesn't mean other people aren't, so I would say maybe, because this book does get a lot of like hype and a lot of good ratings. It just personally wasn't for me. Okay, then we have God of Malice by Rena Ken. I rated this one 3 stars. It was definitely a wild time. I might change my rating still because I did rate it 3 stars, but then I did put as a review my rating might change. Honestly, I can't decide if I loved or hated this book. That is my problem. So I did rate it 3 stars because I'm like, do I love this or do I hate it? Like, I really could not decide. I have left it at 3 stars for now because honestly I haven't really thought about changing it ever since, so like I feel like that's obviously where I settle, but I just generally don't know. I don't know how to feel. I have read the second book since, which obviously we'll get to, and I do enjoy that one more, but I don't know. I think 3 stars is what I'm going to settle for. If I decide to change it in the future, great. If not, you know. This one is also definitely very wild. If you're going to read it, check the trigger warnings. Honestly, I would recommend it to others if you do like dark romance, because obviously this is on the darker side. There are definitely triggering topics that are discussed within this book, but this is about Killian, and he is pretty much a psychopath, classed as a psychopath, like the traits of that. And then I can't remember our female main character, but synopsis doesn't really explain much either. I do go into a lot more detail in a vlog, but it says, I caught the attention of a monster. I didn't ask for it, didn't even see it coming, but the moment I do, it's too late. Killian Carson is a predator wrapped in a sophisticated charm. He's cold-blooded, manipulative, and savage. The worst part is that no one sees his devil side. I do, and that will cost me everything. Remember, the thing about monsters, they always chase. Yeah, definitely the vibe of this book, but I would recommend it. And then I reread Scream for Us. I read this one about 2 years ago. I kept it at 3 stars. It's a short Halloween spooky novella. It's definitely like more on the spicier side and the darker side. It's 81 pages. I would recommend it. Obviously check trigger warnings. But it says, after wandering into a luring Halloween party that is said to go down in history, Quinn finds herself captivated by 3 masked men. As she immerses herself in a night of both pleasure and pain, she finally has the perfect opportunity to bring her darkest fantasies to life or death. This is a reverse harem, dark romance suspense novella. I would definitely recommend this. And then I read City of Ashes, which is the second book in the Immortal Instruments series, and I rated this one 4 stars. I enjoyed this one as well. Now, the only problem is, I would say with this one, is I have been spoiled for the series. Like, I know a massive spoiler, so like if I didn't know this spoiler, I would be a bit like cringed and like grossed out kind of with some of the scenes in this book. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. But because I know the spoiler, I'm like, I was like, oh, this isn't supposed to be happening. This is a bit weird. But I was like, I knew the spoiler, so I could move past it. If I didn't, and then I'd be a little bit like, oh, you know, type thing. So yeah, that's the only thing I would say about this book, but I did still really enjoy it, and there was definitely more action within this book, which I enjoyed as well. And I read Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, and I rated this one 4.5 stars. I definitely did enjoy this one more than what I was expecting. Again, I would recommend it, but check trigger warnings as this is very dark. It's about Erica and Michael, and Erica is dating Michael's younger brother, and Erica has like a crush on Michael. I don't know I'd say, but Michael is part of like this group. I can't remember what the group is called, but every Halloween night they go and some bad stuff is what I'm going to say. Anyway, I don't know really how to explain this without spoiling it. Erica, I was told that dreams were our heart's desires. My nightmares, however, became my obsession. His name is Michael. My boyfriend's older brother is like that scary movie that you peek through your hand to watch. He's handsome, strong, and completely terrified. Start of his college's basketball team and now gone pro. He's more concerned with the dirt on his shoe than me. But I noticed him. I saw him, I heard him, the things that he did and the deeds that he hid. For years I bit my nails, unable to look away. Now I've graduated high school and moved on to college, but I haven't stopped watching Michael. He's bad, and the dirt I've seen isn't content to stay in my head anymore, because he's finally noticed me. Michael, her name is Erica Fane, but everyone calls her Rika. My brother's girlfriend grew up hanging around my house and is always at her dinner table. She'll look down when I enter her room, and still when I'm close, I can always feel the fear rolling off of her, and while I haven't had her body, I know that I have her mind. That's all I really want. Anyway, until my brother leaves for the military and I find Rika alone at college in my city unprotected. The opportunity is too good to be true, as well as the timing, because you see, 3 years ago she put a few of my high school friends in prison, and now they're out. We've waited, we've been patient, and now every last one of the nightmares will come true. Yeah, there you go. That is obviously a lot better of an example, but yeah, definitely a really interesting book. Then I read Stay With Me, which is the second book in Sugarland Creek. I have been wanting to continue the series for a while. I rated it 4.5 stars, and I said, OMG, I love Trip, how he cared for Magnolia. So I definitely enjoyed this one. This one was a best friend's brother. Again, I talk about this a lot in a reading vlog that's coming up, so I don't really want to like repeat myself in this video. Yeah, I definitely recommend. Then I read the third one, which is Fall With Me, and I rated this one 4 stars. This one is a dislike to lovers. So basically she doesn't like him at all, like actually hate, and then she ends up losing her memory, and then she's trying to figure out why she hated him so much, because she feels like the strong connection, and that's pretty much like the rundown of it. Then I read The Witches at the End of the World. I did rate this one 2 stars, but I'm going to be completely honest, I don't really remember too much about it. Again, I go into a lot more detail in a reading vlog, so you'll get all my thoughts there. But I did read this one in like 2-3 hours, so it must have been good enough for me to read like that much. It definitely wasn't a 1 star. I would say I probably wouldn't recommend this. You probably won't hear me talking about this one ever again. Then I read Slash or Pass. Now this one I rated 2.5 stars. I did this one on a whim. It was part of Smatella, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to read it. I didn't really think I'd like it, to be honest. It wasn't a favourite of mine. I was bored like halfway through. Again, I go into a lot more detail. Some of like the slang that was used just really put me off sometimes as well, like the teenage slang. This is MFM. There's like a thriller, dark horror like part to it, so I definitely checked trigger warnings. But yeah, this one just wasn't really for me. I am trying to rush now because my throat's like that. Then I read Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood. I listened to the audiobook because I think that's the only thing that's out currently. I rated it 4 stars. This one was really enjoyable. It's an enemies to lovers spicy romance set in a world of video gaming, so definitely very fun. So I would recommend this one. Then I read Galantia by Madeline Miller, and I rated this one 3 stars. The writing in this was so good and very like flowed very nicely, and the story of this is definitely very important. But again, talk about it more in the vlog. That's what you're gonna hear from me. Then I read God of Pain, which is the second book in the Legacy of God series. I rated this one 3.75. Definitely more of a favorite. This one says, I made a terrible mistake being a mafia princess. I knew my fate was already decided, but when I had and longed for the wrong one. Creighton King is bad news with a gorgeous exterior. He's silent, broad, and obviously emotionally unavailable, so I thought it was over until he awakens the beast inside me. My name is Annika Volkov, and I'm Creighton's worst enemy. He won't stop until he breaks me or I break him. Also, obviously another dark one, but it's set in college, so I'll check trigger warnings. Then I read Family of Liars. I don't know why I read this one, because I didn't like the first one, like We Were Lies. I didn't like it. It was 1 star, so obviously this one was 1 star. I was bored. Don't remember too much about it, to be completely honest. This author obviously isn't just for me. I only read it because I had a physical copy. And I read Only With Me, which is the 4th book in the Sugarland Creek. It was an arc for me. This one was 5 stars, definitely my favourite in the series. I really enjoyed this one, and my review said, this was definitely an emotional roller coaster for me. 1 minute I was giggling, kicking my feet, then next minute I was sobbing. The book follows Waylon and Harlow, who is his ex-girlfriend's little sister. The mental health rep in this book was done amazingly, and you can definitely tell that Brooke did her research. Please check trigger warnings before diving into this book, as parts of the book are very hard to read, but if you can read this, please do. I love the series, and the town Sugarland Creek is the most comforting town and series. I love the chemistry between Waylon and Harlow, and the text messages, and then like a heart emoji. I loved how open and confident Harlow was during the book, even though she's inexperienced. She makes you think she's this inexperienced, naive 20-year-old, but quickly proves you wrong. Waylon is everything you want and more. He is loving, caring, protective, and extremely good teacher. The way the story unfolds is magical, and the chemistry and connection they share just make it all the better. Both are struggling with anxiety, depression, and are dealing with the trauma from their past and the present. It helps their bond grow until denial is a thing of the past, and feelings need to be dealt with. I'm personally not normally a fan of storybound romances, but I love the pace of this book, and it didn't bother me one bit because I was just so invested in the story. And then the tropes of the book is cowboy, small town, mental health rep, ex-girlfriend's little sister, spicy lessons, 12-year age gap, forbidden, secret romance, and hidden identity. And then I read Daydream, and I rated this one 3.25 stars. I would definitely recommend this one. It took me a while to read, but I think that was just like my reading pace. So I am in a reading slump, and that is my problem. So I do feel like it was just because of that, but I did really like the storyline and the chemistry between the characters. And then I read Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match. I rated this one 3 stars. It's definitely like a fun, cozy Halloween read. And then I read Take Two. I rated this one 2 stars. It's a short novella. I said if you're looking for a book with a plot, then this book isn't for you. It's a short, spicy novella, so if you're looking for that, then you're in the right place. There's in the novella you meet Anne, Nathaniel, and Theo. They are friends that they go to school together, and Nathaniel and Thea have fantasized about sharing their best friend Anne for a while. I didn't like the fact that it was written in 3rd person. It threw me off a lot, but I would probably say I wouldn't recommend this one. Those are all the books. I'm so glad that that is over with, because I am going to talk at this point. I was hoping to film another video, but it doesn't seem to going to happen because my throat hurts, but I can film that tomorrow or something. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment this emoji if you watch until the end, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.